Still good, man. Sleeping at the moment, so it's at least nice and quiet. Yes. Okay. I am admin and I can appoint penalties and take them away. So all good. Yes. No, load shedding stage 4. Yep. Yeah, stage 4. We were stage 2 for I think 2 hours this morning and then back to stage 4. Well, that's what a few guys were saying. I mean, we're not supposed to be having it, but yeah, we're having it excessively. Yeah, I've been following that for Europe. I see everyone's getting whacked with some gas and electricity bills. Yeah, wow. Okay, yeah, that's hectic, man. Yeah. Yeah, so that's literally just electricity shit. But is that all just purely because of what Uncle Russia is doing, or what? Yes. There's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both. I think it's the guys being greedy, and then at the same time the imports. So they just basically they're selling the local gas.
Oh, there we go. Now okay. Hi, welcome everyone. Doing a double take on that. I thought I was talking to everyone, but I wasn't. Ike on the mic. Well, Ike not on the mic. Oh, jeez,
Just the reset.
Yeah, reset. Focus. Zone back into it again. Good evening, everyone. LNR team versus team Tuesday night. Paul Ricard. Ike not on the mic, and then of course we've got Paul Fenter here with me alongside. So, hey Paul.
Hello, boss man. Yeah, no, it's a Tuesday night, and I guess we're a little bit out of sorts. Maybe from all the racing that took place over the weekend and lack of sleep.
I think it's a mix this time around. I feel you. Gavin on there, Ike back into it.
Yeah, so Ike, there's been some developments. Ike is joining Gary, because Gary's teammate unfortunately couldn't race last week due to suffering a excessively horrific car accident. The man is okay. He's got some bruised ribs, and as he stated, his car was turned into a cabriolet without it ever being supposed to be a cabriolet. So he was cut out of the car as he hit some animals or something on a farm road or something, if I've got it correctly, or swerved out for a car on a farm road. So to Danny Riggers, hopefully he gets well quite soon, and able to get back to racing. So for that, Owen, aka Ike, has stepped in and will be partnering with Gary, and just to have fun with it, they've decided to go for the Aston V12.
I'm gonna keep an eye on it, because I know just listening to it again, condolences to that man, and hope he gets well soon, and hope we see him back on the track again. It's the last thing you want to hear when you start a sim racing stream is a motor vehicle accident. But nonetheless, it's Tuesday night, round 4. Last week we had a dark Laguna Seca. This week we have my fan favorite, and again a second fan favorite. I think you boys picked up all my favorites for tracks, for Ricard. And to be fair, I think the Speed Demon BMW is definitely going to be a contender here. No two ways about it. So Stratum, to watch out. Vessels, to watch out. Keen to see what the DMR boys are going to do. But other than that, Team Luxury Time Racing, looking at Loureiro at the moment, I hope they can bring it in and reel it in, getting into that podium position this week.
Well, let's add some spice to that. There is no Stratum this week. The Stratum has been sidelined by load shedding. So Ryan Barrington-Smith will be carrying the flag for the Betty Blixums this evening. So if ever there was a time for Vessels and Skitter to make up some points, tonight would be it. And then there's a few of the teams that have informed me that some drivers will be racing on their own. Hansi will be racing on his own as his teammate is sick. Gavin cannot make it. Then you've got Renier, who will be racing on his own as his teammate is still being jacked by load shedding. And then Jude Neval will also not be racing as he's also load shedding, so his teammate Etienne will be racing on his own. And then I know that Niall and Jacques are splitting the way that they've got it, that Jacques has to start or something, or I think so, otherwise he's in load shedding. And then Dino and Ruan, their load shedding starts apparently with about 10 minutes to go in the race, left in the race, and they both race from Ruan's house. So yeah, there's definitely some interesting developments for the race coming with load shedding, throwing additional curveballs to the boys.
That sounds tight. Now, I was listening while you're talking, and it literally, from me listening, I go like, I might as well just take you and call you the LNR huisgenoot platform, because you practically know everything that goes on at the present stage.
Well, someone has to know what's going on, you know.
Oh, that's quite a mouthful. So boys are still qualifying, 4 minutes left on the clock. Ryan Barrington-Smith is smashing it at the present moment. Dino Kier knocked it out of the ballpark there in the Merc, taking preliminary pole. Don't know how long that's going to last at the moment, but it's a pretty decent lap set by him. Yeah. That's a 54.2 in a Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Vessels, sitting currently theoretically in 14th, to set a time. He still has not set a time with just over 3 minutes to go.
And he's running out of the pit box now, so he is struggling. Now, Ricard is tricky. Like, 10 minutes of a flying lap is not enough. It never feels like it's enough. And even if you go out on track and you actually do a couple of laps, your worst enemy is track cards, because you can have it on point the whole of sector 1 and 2, and then all of a sudden somewhere in sector 3 you get a track card, which invalidates your whole lap, and then you got to redo that the whole time. For a 2-minute lap in itself is a painful experience. So Vessel's got a lot to do. Dean Gear is the man to beat. Gerard Janssen van Vieren in the Audi. Again, it doesn't surprise me that he is up there in the top 5, because he loves this track to bits and pieces.
Yeah,
Probably.
no, I'm definitely wanting to see what the Sheep does, because this is like his go-to circuit if he wants to kick some butt.
They were really struggling last week, and again, big ups to them for actually finishing the race at Laguna Seca. Didn't look very strong at the beginning of the race. Had a good qualifying, fell to the back, ended up finishing it. The race before that was fantastic drive by them. I know these boys love these tracks, because they are way quicker than me on it in most instances, and that's a lot to say, because I love it. I love this track. 54-2, still to beat. Barrington edging closer and closer, but he's just not getting there.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, he's there, but I know last night he was struggling with low fuel laps. So yeah, we'll have to see if he has it for the race. But at the moment, the big shocker is going to be if Vessels and them don't set a time. They're going to be coming from the back.
And they haven't as of yet. Now, this is a new surprise on the doorstep. Aston Martin V12 driver Gary van der Haar. Black and white. Oh, I love that V12 sound. It's just, you can't get away from that. Even the Formula One side of it, V10s, V12s, it's the most beautiful car sound in the world. They literally need to take that sound and put it in the history book of whatever and leave it there for generations to listen. So where are we?
You need to just share your screen so that I can watch what you are. Otherwise, I'll watch what you're streaming, but I'm about 30 seconds behind you.
Look at me. You should have just told me.
I'm busy looking, and I'm like, okay, I'm missing something, yeah.
You're missing something. You are certainly missing a lot. So we got 51, well, not a lot of time left to do serious pole positions. Dean Norkia has put it in the pits. He's certainly not going to put it out there. Benton Smith struggling. He's got one more lap to try and capitalize on it. Like I said, he's trying to edge closer and closer, but just can't get those final few tenths down. Boys on a quick lap at the present state. Greening here, it's about 6 tenths up on his time. If he continues that way, it's going to bring him into the high 55s. But he's got to focus. These final few corners is where it counts. Great exit though. Didn't see anything wrong with that. Does that the edge? It does.
Nice.
It does. Back into 7th place for Greening. So that's a good one for him. Wilson on the other hand, also edging up there. Not fantastic finish. I think he lost a bit of speed in the final corners, but 11th place for him. Barrington Smith seems to be the only man up there. Where is Vessels? Vessels in 3rd.
So eventually was able to put a lap together to get it in there. But yeah, it looks like the fight's going to be for that podium spot there between those three, and then the battle of the rest basically between Vermeulen, Sheep, and Van der Berg there, because they all there quite close together. So, but again, Barrington runs wide there. He must have invalidated the lap, so he decides to pull off. It's going to be fun to see, because also this track loves track limits, and I know that DTs were flying around last night with the boys doing a practice race, in a 20-minute session, guys were getting drive-throughs, and I was like, oh boy, that's going to be interesting. We've got 80 minutes of racing.
Ah, we do, and now nothing again works for me. One week I get it to work, the other week I don't get it to work. Well, this is how we're gonna look at the grid. So, where do we sit? New pole sitter this week. Surprised?
Yeah.
I am. I have to admit, I am very surprised about that. Is Dean Yorkia, DMR boys on pole 54-2 was what they set out, and I think that is a phenomenal qualifying session. Like, out qualifying the two big boys that have dominated most of the races. And when I say most, it's the first three, but that's still a lot. That's a lot being said.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I just hope they have a clean one and we can then have some proper racing for this, because even last night guys were murdering each other into turn one, murdering each other down that fast right-hander through the sweep. So yeah, if we can just make it through, I'll be happy. And then I think then that top three is going to be a big battle, and then 4 and 5 they might sneak in if 1, 2, and 3 really battles with each other. And then on the AM side, I mean, things are going to be cooking there between Greening, Hansi, and Moore, and Wilson. They were all within half a second of each other. So again, it's going to be fun. And then we've got the two pro boys in 10th and 13th. That's kind of in between the guys here. So yeah, it's gonna be fun as always.
It will be, and I think what makes Paul Ricard probably the most frustrating tracks is the fact that it's so wide in general. I mean, it was designed for testing purposes in all circumstances. That's what the track's always been used for and designed for that. But since then, GT3 cars love it. Formula One, great races on there, and the optimal challenge here is what do you do? How do you set your car up to mitigate and compensate for that long straight line? Because again, the last thing you want to do is be a sitting duck down the straight line, and even if you do that, how much mechanical grip is required for your cars to handle the corners, because they're not slow corners in general. There is the only one I can think of at this moment is maybe this one up and coming, which is almost like a first gear, potential second gear corner, and then the final corner before the start finish line. Other than that, they're all fast paced corner, and it's heavy on both your left and right hand tires. So that's the setup need. So great qualifying by Dean, but does he have the pace to outrun that BMWs down the straight?
Yeah, so from what I understand, the interesting part has been that Sector 1 and 2, the Merc is slow. But Sector 3, the Merc, from what I understand, seems to be on pace or slightly quicker. So I think with the Merc that it has that front diffuser that it can add downforce, I think it's made it a little bit slow down straight, which obviously makes it a sitting duck, but it gives it that speed through that final sector to make it up. But the problem is, if you're in second or third place every time going down that very long straight, where guys forget they're still racing, you're just not gonna be able to use that amazing grip through the final sector to get past the game, because all you got to do is got to defend.
Yes, and that brings it just. I'm actually
quickly.
Yeah.
While we've got it here, is just all the boys on stream. So yeah, welcome Shawnee straight on. We've got Gavin, Jude, Carbon in here, Kaylin's in here. So welcome, and how's it, guys? Most of you I'm aware is not racing due to load shedding, so at least we can all sit and enjoy the racing and watch me give all your teammates 5-second penalties, so at least there's some fun to this,
5-second penalties, like the steering team. It's like they are itching to just go, I want to dish it, I want to dish it. Let's just put it out there. Okay, final couple of corners for these boys. And I listening to what you said, that the Merc is probably far quicker in Sector 3, still makes me wonder, because all you gotta do to defend that position is literally put your car in the right place at the right time, and it is so hard to pass.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that's going to be the crux of the situation, that straight line, you know, you can never compensate for straight line speed, but I can block you into a corner, therefore making it more difficult for them to get past. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they have reduced the wings or the front downforce more to be able to compete with the BMWs in a straight line, and whether they're just going to try and you in pole, so go for it and see what you can do. But yeah, I think anyone sitting in first place going down that straight is kind of going to be sitting duck.
And it's all's out, like...
Well, here we go.
That was so close. I had a bit of a hiccup myself there. Oh, there we go. Initial touch. Initial touch there between Jacques Vermeulen and Wessels. Wessels losing a lot out of it. I think it was all just about who wins or won that corner. Again, it doesn't look like he lost a lot though, but more incidents as two cars go there into each other. That's the Audi and a BMW. Who would that be?
So everyone seems to have recovered. There is a Aston coming from the back, Jay van de Venter, coming from the back, but I think he started from pit lane. Everyone else seems to be in line, so I think we might still be good here.
We might. A couple of hiccups at the beginning. So Wessels is a big did not come out of it that well between himself and Vermeulen. Again, the boys are gonna have a look at it and see where they go. So far, it seems like the Merc was just quick down the straight. So I kind of went with the thought that maybe he would lose a position, but he didn't. So he probably got a great exit out of there, managed to move away from it, created a bit of a gap, and then now it's all about how does he manage it from there. Gaps in between everyone else is close. Van Vieren gained 3 positions from his starting point. So again, that's a good start from him. Laredo, on the other hand, biggest winner on track at the moment with 5 positions gained, right behind Jacques Vermeulen, and a bit of a gap between himself and Van der Berg. So there's a bit of a breathing room. It's just how do they all manage it out to make sure that they don't get caught up by the pace boys behind them. So Luxury Time Racing on point this week, and it looks good.
Yeah, they definitely seem to be on it today. So yeah, let's see how the race develops for them, if they can keep this going. But that Audi is also no slouch in a straight line, as it's shown. A little bit of slipstream, and it just pops the BMW.
Wessels has got the hardest work for him at this moment. So a bit of I would go with a fender bender between himself and Jacques Vermeulen at the beginning. To me, it looked like a battle for the corner. My eye stand on that was I think Wessels had the corner, but maybe it was just a misjudgment. I don't know. Very hard to say in that moment.
He's going for the inside. Let's see. Has he got the corner already? If I was Wilson, is it Wilson? No, it's Greening. If I was Greening, I would just back out of that and just give him the corner, as he is in a different car as he does that. So good move there. Greenie thinking of his own race right there, because he needs to chase down Moore and Myberg just ahead of him.
Yeah, it's a 1 hour 20-minute race there. At BMW there, on the other hand, by Myberg, looks very unsettled, and he seemed unsettled even at the start of the race. So this is TTHR boys. When we go back to the start of the race, I had my eye on him. He came out the final corner going through the start-finish straight line, but he had one hell of a gap between himself and the individual ahead of him. Not only managed to lose one position, but that's not bad. But he looks unsettled out of everyone on the track at this stage. A bit unsettled, nerves ticking in. Maybe the tires are not on point. And just talking about it, 33-degree track temperature. That's hot. That is hot.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a bit of a hot one. But as we said with the weather, we set it a week before. So basically, tomorrow morning we will have a look and see what is the weather for tomorrow at the track, and then we lock that as the weather. And they can be lucky because if we did it on Thursday was 100% rain at Ricard. So the boys got a breather where luck played into their hands and they got a nice boiling hot day instead of a wet, rainy, cold day.
Oh, and you can see that BMW just creeping closer and closer. Is he going to dive into the line? No, keeps a bit away from that. Jacques Vermeulen, on the other hand, making a big move there on Van Vieren. Not pushing him wide, but that's going to unsettle Van Vieren, which is going to put Lorenzo right on his rear end. So, a bit of work for Van Vieren there. Maybe too much pressure at the moment. Wessels, on the other hand, still filtering through traffic, making a lot of spaces though. Like,
he's just carving his way through. He's absolutely just whacking it through there.
Yeah.
And they've got Amboys chasing them down as well, as Moore and Hansi is fighting, and poor Kale is in the middle of that battle, but giving some space there to Moore, but oh no, and the boys are going to tag each other, and Vessels is taken out by Kale.
That is not a race for Vessels this week. I'm fairly certain he is throwing his wheel out the window. That's the last thing that he would have wanted there. Let's just see if we can go and have a look at them.
Kale was trying to defend the position from Moore and somehow outbraked himself and just kind of almost T-boned Vessels, as Vessel was taking a wide turning line into the corner, whereas they were trying to cut the corner off.
That's a very tough one. You can see there's enough space and gap given there. Don't think I've gone too far back.
No, it's coming right now. You'll see now. So they're coming up. It's the second last corner here. Vessel goes through, and you're going to see Vessel takes a wide line, and Kale takes a shallow line and just whacks him.
Yeah, that's where the difference is between the lines that you take. Now Vessel's at the back of the pack again. I absolutely feel gutted for the man. Like 2 corners within the first 8 minutes of the race, taken out twice. And I say taken out now, it seems to be everyone against RTA.
Behind him there. That's Terence. Terence goes in the opposite direction of where the track is going.
Terence lost it completely there. That is like what I would probably say there's no wing on there to create a rear end grip at all.
Yeah, no, definitely. He just absolutely lost it through the sweep there. That's a typical move going into that right-hander if you just get it wrong.
Gets it right. Comes down. Ooh. Big tail slapper there for him. Managed to get it back.
He goes to the inside and stays off and doesn't hit anyone or take anyone with him.
Yes. Now that rear end tire is going to be blimingly hot at the moment. Back to the battle. I'm going to go mid-pack battles this week. These boys in the mid races are really, really battling it out. Carl van der Berg, who's driving in the bloke class, he is being overwhelmed by some of the AM boys. Mayberg, Greening, Wilson, Duplessis, Moore, who's ahead of him.
they're all lining up to get past him and try and chase down Moore, that is currently just going, thank you for being my door stopper, and trying to run away in the Audi.
I'm going to do a lot of these wing cuts today because
So you've got to keep in mind also, Moore is the quicker driver between himself and his teammate Davide. So obviously, at the moment, Moore will be pulling that gap and working on that, so that when he hands the car over to Davide, Davide's got a nice little cushion to be able to hold on to that, like they did last week at Laguna, to then take some top points there for the AM division.
Yeah, this time they're sitting in, I would say, a W position. So the first boys in the AM class. Moore is looking very solid though. Again, last week Davide didn't really seem to gel very well with the track, and one can understand. I mean, the track was dark. It's Laguna Seca. There is no real track light, so it's all about feeling, knowledge, skill set, and those things. Yeah, similar. But I think because it's a wider track, you can push a bit more. You can let it go a bit more. Take a bit of different lines to compensate. As long as you don't lose your rear end, you'll be okay.
Berries went straight. He went wide, way wide into his corner. Berries is dropping some time there to Dean. As I was just flicking through from my side, I see that he outbraked himself. But yeah, the main battle is obviously between Kale and the rest of the boys there. He almost looks like he lost the rear and then just ran it in wide.
Let's see, he is still following Dean. Where did he lose it? Ooh, yes, went a bit too deep there. So I would go slightly too late on the braking marker there, causing that BMW's rear end to just want to flip across. So the front boys are still doing good. No real battles there. The big battles are here at the moment. So Kel van der Berg and the amount of AM boys on the back end, like they are switching so many positions. That's Anthony Wilson going for inside move on Mayberg. Decides not to do so because now he's going to be a man who's defending rather than a man that's wanting a position, and that's a tough call in the racing circumstances. You feel that you have the pace to take the guy ahead of you, which it generally does at Paul Ricard, but then it can change in such an instant because one good lap or two good laps isn't necessarily your quickest or best. It's hard to stay consistent here.
Okay, let's see. Let me see. How much work has the R&D boys been given? Not too bad, not too bad. Well, let me jump in there and see how the boys crack on this, so we can start dishing out some of these 5 seconds, and then if anything else is needed, we can start handing them out.
Alright, go crack their whip there, and then I'll continue watching the boys over here. Again, AM boys battling it out fiercely at the present moment. I think the race is right here, and it's probably going to sit here for a while. Still keeping an eye out on the boys ahead of him. That is Van Vieren. Now he is being chased down by a BMW, and that BMW is Mr. Loureiro from Team Luxury Time Racing in car 118. In beautiful livery still. Still love these colors that these boys do. They are a fantastic new up-and-coming team, running and racing in all types of sim racing at the present moment from all over South Africa and competing where they can. So, like I've said in the previous season, keep an eye out for them. I'm expecting to see great things from these boys. They're always willing to grow. Again, I would probably say if you want to get in hold of them or get in contact with them, always reach out to Van Zyl, who is the secondary driver here, Loureiro. again, that's just the guy I would go speak to him. But again, fantastic team here, developing and they're growing. They generally have more than one team here, and I think I can't find the other one at the moment.
Yeah, I think the third car is not racing tonight, which is normally Mare. I have not seen Mare on track tonight.
Yes, who's that BMW? Is that from Milan already lapping a car? Yeah, that is from Milan. Already starting to lap cars at the present moment. That is quick. AM boys on the other hand. There we go. Vessel's back in the mix again. Boerman had to, his second time coming around, trying to pass everyone again. And hopefully this time he can do it without being any contact to him. Wilson trying to break the straight line speed. Being a bit defensive. Now of course that is all fair and war because Wilson is trying to catch Mayberg ahead of him. But Vessels on the other hand is dominating at this stage. And again, dominating in the mid-pack, which I don't believe he belongs. He's just had so much unfortunate luck at the beginning of the race. And then subsequent to that, also had a secondary contact. So I'm going to keep a close eye on as Vessels moves forward. He has a lot of time to try and make up. Whether he can, that's a secondary question. Plessis here, Mighty Smitters, has now gained on Wilson. And I think that is what Wilson wanted to avoid in the first place. Maintain a gap between himself and another car, not to have too much pressure. Greening on the other hand, he is still trying to chase down Kel van der Berg, who is not in his class, but he has got his eyes set out for Moore, current leader in the AM division in car 71, probably about 3 or 4 seconds adrift from him. Lap times, however, let's go and have a look at what these boys are doing at the present stage. So last laps we're doing roughly around about the 156 margin, which is phenomenally quick. Leaders at the present moment are all dipping into the 155s, everyone in 156s, and then of course when we look at Duplessis and Robson here by 12th place, we see a 57 odd here and there, so everyone on similar place as Vessels there, looking to make another move on Mayberg. That seems to be all done and dusted. Side-by-side racing is still allowed. Doesn't matter what class of car you are in. It's going to compromise both of them getting into this fast double right-hander, which you need to take a significant late apex. But also do it in such a way that you don't scratch your tires and damage them based on the high speed requirements there. Such a tough corner. And for those that haven't raced on this track, your brake markers is the hardest thing to see on tracks like this. So I think that the biggest challenge that people don't like about Paul Ricard, not on every corner, but on certain corners, your braking points are probably about a few hundred feet away. You gotta peek it out on the corner of your eye to make sure that you can hit it on spot, which is generally tough in itself. Most of the guys will use some of these color codings on track, and then of course the boards that they have in and around every location. This is Vessels again, setting it up for that start long straight line. It's all about the exit. It's how you manage that. Harold van Vieren here with Loreno. This is Audi and BMW. This battle still continues. Lap times between them are quite close. it's going to be Vessel capitalizing again down the straight. Certainly looks like he's got the pace, but so does that Aston Martin in the final few, I would say, meters down the start-finish line. I think when that Aston Martin gets up to space, it is very hard to actually try and make a move on him. This is Vessel's diving on the inside. Now this is all about trust and faith. Greening very well aware of him. Saw him coming. I don't think he wanted to give that position to him. Penalties being dished out. Now of course, that 5-second penalty for Vermeulen, I would go that is probably for contact made on the first lap. Kel van der Berg, 15-second penalty for him. That is potentially for the Vessels incident which we saw. Again, probably just misjudged it on the final corner. Accidents and incidents does happen. We all know that. We are all human. Kalen. Oof, 15 seconds. Yeah, that's Kalen going oof, 15 seconds. That's a tough one. Gotta admit, Kalen. Even I looked at it and I went like, ooh, that is hard. The big pill that I just threw down my throat is going down very, very slowly. But we'll leave it for the stewarding team to do what they do. Now, Kalen, you are teammate of Kel van der Berg, so I can see where that fits. You boys very hard. 15 seconds on this track is a lot of time. It's equivalent to 3 seconds at Monza, which feels like 15 corners in general. Still a tough one. Going back into it. Big battle still everywhere else. We're going to find some more action here, and it can't just stay on the same guys. So Leno, he and the Audi fighting it out. Steering team dishing out penalties. Now I reckon that's more of the 5-second penalties over there. Wilson. Steady state. Dos. He is trying to chase down Duplessis ahead of him. If I recall, I think Duplessis was behind him, so at some other point they did swap position. Completely missed that in total. But Duplessis managed to make a move on Wilson. Wilson now the man trying to chase down Duplessis. Duplessis, the individual who is now trying to hunt down Mayberg, TTHR team. And of course, looking at it, got a potential another Vessels versus Kel van der Berg again. I'm loving how this looks at. Still love this track. Go into the interior of Kel van der Berg. He can see that RTA boy right behind him, going back into Vessels. He is looking at Kel van der Berg, knowing that he has potentially the pace to make it stick. However, this is BMW on BMW down the start-finish line, and you can see that they are relatively in and around the same pace. However, Vessels does look a bit more aggressive. Takes the inside line again. It does look like he does it so well. Side-by-side racing definitely allowed. Kel, you're not really going to defend it on the secondary one. Lets it go though. I think it could have been a bit more aggressive. There's still so much space for too wide everywhere on this track. But I don't think Kel wanted to get into that scuffle again. This does open the door up for Vessels to now go hunt down Moore, which is an AM driver. And then of course he's got a lot of work to do at Lorero, Van Vieren, Vermeulen, Barrington Smith, and then of course Norkia. And 2 out of those 6 boys have got penalties, so time can be made up. It's just how does he manage it from there? If I look at it from a lap standing point of view, Wessels is still hitting the 56 at the present moment. So is everyone else, apart from the 2 front-running boys. They are still smashing it down with 55s.
Man,
These boys are quick. Well,
what I missed.
Not a lot though. I assumed you took the stick and beat the stewards out because holy crap, they just went mad. And again, of course, you did fairly warn us. 5 seconds is because people's secondary drivers are not there and so forth and so forth.
Yeah, the majority, so Barrington Smith, Duplessis and Mouton is all the drivers, and yeah, those are your drivers that are single driving, so they only get 5 seconds for not having a teammate attend tonight. For Milan, unfortunately, the corner was there, but it was quite a bit of a dive. So yeah, so unfortunately that's where his 5 seconds came in, and then yeah, Kale with the 15 seconds. Once you relook at it, I think the stewards refer to it as a T-bone special. That one.
It was a tough one because it did look like Wessels was already turned into the corner, going down the straight, which makes it hard. It makes it hard. Again, let's not wonder more on that. These boys are still racing. Dean Norkia, on the other hand, he is maintaining the gap ahead of Barrington Smith. These 2 boys at the present moment are the only 2 boys on track that are going around about the 55 margin. Now, Barrington Smith did put the fastest lap on the previous lap, so he's managed to pull in a 54.8, which to me sounds like he's getting mid to low fuel at the moment. That's not a heavy tank that puts that lap times down.
Yeah, no, that's definitely flying, but I think for now, Norkia, what they probably would be mindful for is that 5 seconds that Barrington Smith is carrying with him. But I do know that Dean's teammate Ruan, I don't think he is right up on the exact same pace as these boys. I think he might be lacking maybe a tenth or 2. So again, I think Dean, they just managing this as best they can for now. And Barrington Smith, Ryan's just going to have to go basically to the limit, whack it as hard as what he can, and hopefully he can just make up the time and be able to challenge in the second half of the race, because it does look like Dean and him are kind of matching each other at the moment on each lap.
They are. They certainly are. And from where we talked earlier on, you mentioned that the
Ferreira and Van Vieren are going at it. They're side by side going into the final corner.
This is going to be a tough one. It's all about the exit out of that. And to me, it looked like that BMW had a far slower exit than the Audi. But, ooh, is he taxiing behind the Audi? That is so close.
Yeah, wow. I held my breath there for a second.
I had one eye closed. That was very, very close. On the last minute, he decides to pull right on the back of that Audi instead of going for the racing line. And I think it's all about how do you do this. It's patience, planning, perseverance, putting the Audi on pressure, because you can see Sheep is fighting every corner at the moment, and Laredo just looks like he is on ultimate cruise control.
Yeah, no, definitely at the moment Laredo looks like he does have a bit more speed than that Audi, so Sheep's got his work cut out for him to try and stay ahead. So let's see who's got the superior power in a straight line, whether it is the Audi with no slipstream, or whether that BM with some slip can get, and does not look like he's able to
It just
get
doesn't, huh?
No, that Audi is definitely running no wing.
Well, yes. Very, very little. The wing's there, but it does nothing. It serves nothing but to keep that rear end on the ground.
Yeah, and Vessels I see has caught up to Moore. He's half a second behind Moore. So hopefully the smart move from Moore there would be just to let him go as he's not in the same fight and just races his own race.
Yes, he should. But this is where the big battle is at the moment. And this is where it's going to get very, very interesting. Gerard Jansson from Vieren loves this track. I know he loves it. Again, I gotta give out to the boys who's streaming at this moment. So who else would be streaming on this race? Dean Norkeer, he would have a stream. Jacques Vermeulen would have a stream. Gerard Jansson from Vieren would also have the stream. Of course, the Luxury Time Racing boys, they have their own stream. I'm gonna go with the Pace boys, Kel van der Berg. I would assume and believe that's
Pace Motorsport got a stream going.
Yes, Pace Motorsports would certainly have a stream going. Anthony Wilson probably. Will Robson here, the last remaining pro
should be streaming as well. I haven't seen him, but he should be streaming in theory.
In theory. So again, this is just the boys that I can think of, and I think Ferrara on them streams as well. Again, so this is me giving a shout out to all the boys that are actually streaming. If you want to go watch some live racing, see it in their view perspective, go have a look at what those boys are doing, saying. Well, probably don't listen what they're saying, because I'm fairly certain a few of them would have a couple of R-rated words out there. But always good and fun to watch from their perspective. Don't be shy. It's all about support. This is Moore. Now again, this seems to be Vessel's this move. He has passed so many cars around that double apex.
Yep, no, he definitely looks like he's got a superior line through there as he just pulls away from Moore there. That's absolutely insane.
And he does it every single time. Like everyone that I've seen thus far goes the wider left, well, a very late apex approach, whereas Vessels takes, it seems like two apexes to get it in and out the whole time. And it just seems to be far more dominating as opposed to everyone else.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I now Vessel's got his work cut out for him to chase down. He's 4.5 seconds behind Loureiro, and if he can get to Loureiro, he can get to Sheep. So yeah, well, I see Barrington Smith definitely on the turbos because only half a second behind Norkeer.
He is certainly giving it sticks as much as he can. Still smashing in. I would say slightly lower 55s than Dean at the present moment. It's only like 0.200 of a second. I reckon one or the other, the tires are going between these cars, and it's a deciding factor now of how do you manage your tire wear.
Yeah, no, definitely. But Barrington Smith definitely looks like he's just got a bit more speed at the moment than the Mercedes. I wonder if the Mercedes has not maybe used a bit more of the rubber, and now the BMW surprisingly would be coming into its own because the BM is known for using all of its rubber.
Yes, it is. So I'm really contemplating, and I'm curious to try and understand and delve down the technicality of this, whether that or it could just be Norkeer taking a bit of a breather, settling down. He knows he's got a 5-second advantage, so is it really necessary for him to fight that hard and push that hard? Is what my mindset would go with.
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, let's see, because we should be getting a little bit closer to the halfway mark, which will then bring in. Oof, that BM is right up the top of that Merc right now.
Very close. Jude Novell just giving a shout out there. LNT doesn't have a stream tonight. That's sad, boys. Luxury Time Racing with no stream this evening. I hope you boys are going to stream next week. Hope it's nothing serious, but again, it's all about support, Jude. That's all it is, just support. Share the love.
Let's see what
That is
Barry
close though.
can do down the straight now, because that is as close as no, that Merc somehow they've squeezed a little bit extra top end out of it there.
They have, and it's not just about the top end. It's also you got to be considerate as how you enter into that straight line. The faster you go into it, the more speed you get out of it at the end of it. So, and being an individual following someone, you tend to get into this whole mindset of following his driving style as opposed to you doing what is right at that moment on that corner.
Yeah, it's definitely getting spicy there. I didn't think it would be that close.
No, not at all. Duplessis, on the other hand, he's been on the move since I've last watched him, and he just keeps on climbing the ladder as he goes along. So he's managed to pass Wilson, and now he's done Mayberg, and he is going to hunt down Greening, who is not that far from him. Again, it's about a 6-second gap in between them. Greening seems to be fighting here with Calvin-Abar, who's got a 15-second penalty, and then Moore is ahead of them by 3 seconds. So that in your peripheral view is Moore to Greening to Duplessis to Mayberg and Wilson, the top 5 AM boys down the straight line. Moore has got his hands full if he wants to take this W this evening. He's got to push as hard as he can, and I do hope that his teammate is ready, gunning, and wanting to get it on. These boys are so much closer now.
This seems like it's rinse and repeat every lap. That might be a track card right there for Berries. That very Smith, that was way wide.
That was way wide there. It does look like he got back into the line before it went off, but that would have compromised him a bit on the speed because he would have had to lift a bit on the throttle. So hence that minute gap has grown a bit again. Now he's got to work it back again. Put a bit more elbow grease into that and see what he can do.
So the question will be is he going to undercut the Merc, or is he going to pit with the Merc, or will he go one lap longer than the Merc?
I'm going to go all bets on. I think an undercut takes a W here as opposed to an overcut.
I on the other hand think go one lap further so you can see if they potentially get a drive through or a stop go 30, because we know the pit entrance here at Ricard, that pit limiter line is right as you jump into the pits coming out of that final corner, and that catches out so many of the drivers. So I'm expecting possibly a couple of drive-throughs to go into effect for pit lane speeding today.
I also suspect a few individuals are going to keep a close eye on that from a stewarding perspective, because again, so as in sim racing, we can't have cameras and boys all over the show looking at pit entries and pit exits, but we're certainly going to have a peek every now and again to make sure people apply to the rules as best we can. Yes, we know this is sim racing. Yes, we know this is all virtual, but simultaneously we try and make this as real as possible. Vessels, he has caught up a lot. He is on the rear end of Loreto.
Yeah. That's what, 3 laps and he's caught up to those boys. That is some insane pace.
Insane, he is quick. Still in the 56, side by side with Loreto. Doesn't look like Loreto is going to compete that hard. Makes the move. Oof. Again.
Wow. That is so close.
My eyes just flinched there for a second. Go like, no! But
I see
great
Rob
racing.
in the pits. So the first driver to jump into the pits. Oh no, second driver, as I see D. Scott is in the car, so he's taken over from Van de Vente as well.
He's got.
These are the console boys that have transitioned over to the PC side, and I think they are still getting used to the PC side of things. Oh, as we said, that T. Scott stops on the side of the track,
Great stop.
and that might be a wheel being reset or something being reset there. Oh, into the pit comes Vessels and Loureiro. That looked very weird. I think Vessels might have touched the barrier there as he entered the pit lane.
That was quite scary because all I saw was yellow flags popping on my radar as everyone goes into the pits at the moment. So let's see if we can capture that. Everything seems fine. These are the final few corners over here. Final there. Slows down, brings it in. Ooh, no, it was not him. It was Ferrara almost misjudging it.
Oh, Loureiro, you mean? Loureiro.
Ah, Loureiro, sorry. Oof, get the names wrong completely. Again, Bennington Smith made the position.
Oh, he's gone past.
He has gone past. So he has now potential leader, new leader. Sorry, I had to think there for a second. New leader of the race, Bennington Smith. 5-second penalty on him. Now the question is can he create a gap? And what is his strategy? Because again, he's driver alone. So he needs to figure out how long can he endure this going forth. Or Kia going past the 40-minute mark as well. So he's also doing a longer stint. So plenty of the boys going for a longer stint as some of the individuals. This is going to be close, 3 wide cars. Oh, nail biting. Nail biting.
And as we suspected, that Vessels stop go 30, so that needs to be changed to a drive-through, and then Loureiro and them got a drive-through penalty. So, oh boy.
Yeah, I'm surprised I see that because again, Vessels looked like he had it on point, whereas the Van Sale Loureiro boys, it just seems like they overshot their brake marker by a little bit, and they're potentially going in too quickly. So, yeah, a bit of admin duties there. Let's see if we can eliminate some of those SG30s and just make it a drive-through. These guys are not having the best race this evening though. But we have Sean Skitter in the wheel, so anything's still possible. Kia and BMW, this is first and second. Everyone else still in the pit. T. Scott still off the racing line there. Gerard Jansen van Vieren in the pits. Jacques Vermeulen exiting the pitch. That is a big win there by Van Vieren. Jumped Vermeulen in the pits box.
I can only think that Vermeulen and them probably had that damage from the start with Vessels and opted to repair that damage.
Oh,
that was about 4 seconds ahead, so that's all I can think is that they probably repaired that damage.
That is a good point, and now that you mention it, yes. So
if he is pitted, then he will be getting a 5-second penalty, as it seems like his teammate is then not racing. Oh wait, there it's updated. There we go. I was about to say I was not informed. They would have been the first team to get the unlucky 130-second penalty.
Well, at least we can manage it from there. So yes, you were right on the pit stop point of view. They weren't that long compared to Robin boys. Yeah, they did lose a bit. So in total they lost about 9 seconds. 0.9 on that pit stop.
Okay, yeah, so maybe they just took it very cautionary going into the pit, seeing some of the guys getting the stop go and the drive through already.
Yeah,
so in the pits, so he's blinked first. He's blinked before Dean and the Merc has blinked. So let's see how they go.
That's gonna be an interesting one. Like I said, I think an undercut is worth the risk to try and gain as much as you can. Robin van der Merwe and Nel Bullion now fighting it out. Gary van der Haar in the pits. Van Zyl
has pitted, but obviously due to not doing the driver swap, the system is not picking up that he's done his pit stop. The same with Myberg, Ferreira, and Mouton.
That is 100% correct. Duplessis is still the only one that has not gone into the pits from the
Dean.
AM boys. Dean in the pits. Now this is gonna be, well, again, taking into account the 5-second penalty from Barrington Smith, I think Dean has got a good buffer on him to get out the pit lane with ease. That's if everything goes good and well. Robin van der Merwe and Nel Bullion, on the other hand, are battling it out now in the top 5 positions, or top, yes. This is a podium spot if we...
Yep, they're fighting for P3 right there, but where is... Okay, so Scooter is not too far behind, but unfortunately, oh, such bad luck. We'll have to serve that drive-through penalty.
Yeah, he'll have to serve that drive-through penalty, which is going to put him way down in the mix. Capruzzi now, the man in the car. So he has at least got a bit of a buffer between himself with it chasing down Lee Bullion there in the Aston Martin that has taken over from Greening. So Lee Bullion, Capruzzi, and then of course Dave Young. Dave Young in the car, so I'm expecting lots of good miles and speed from this man. He was very dominant last week at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, he was flying.
Very curious to see if he can bring that back in again this evening. Currently in 3rd in the AM class. Skitter taking the drive-through penalty. Mayberg, on the other hand, working his way up there. And then of course we have Van Zyl, who is sitting here at the back right ahead of Mawa. So this is a good pro-am battle here. Van Zyl, Mawa and Dupree.
Yeah, they're all there in a little group, so that might be a nice little battle brewing over there.
Certainly good to see everyone still fighting. That's Base Motorsports, C to the P.
Ruan has taken over from Dean, but has Barrington Smith jumped him? That sure looks like it.
That does look like that is the case, though.
Oh, some touchy there with Van Zyl and them.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I went ahead just to see that. So let's just focus where the racing is. I'm sorry,
Yes,
viewers.
something happened in that pit stop with Nokia and Van der Walt, because they are now 5 seconds behind Barrington Smith.
Let's see what if we can what does our data tell us. So pit stop point of view, that doesn't make sense at all. Their pit time versus Dean Nokia's pit time was on point. 1 minute 10 in total. So is this where we can go the undercut did work? But
That's all I can think.
unless
Unless he was very, very cautious going into the pit as well to make sure they don't get the penalty and everything. Or when they were in the pit, the car, maybe they weren't on their marks exactly and the car dropped down twice.
It really looks like it's on point. So I can see the time for the pit time, and I can see how long they've stopped.
Barrington Smith's pit stop would have been 5 seconds longer due to his 5-second penalty. So if their pit stop times are identical, then
It is.
was 5 seconds longer than what it should be.
Yes, I know what you're thinking, but it wasn't. So Dean's pit stop time, total time stop was 36 seconds. Okay? Beddington Smith was 37 seconds. So yes, they could have probably overshot their pit stop,
Yeah,
or whatever the
definitely.
case may be. But that's
they-
identical. The time,
uh,
pit time total is identical. Okay, so it all works out that there is equal balance. And then Beddington still had the 5-second penalty. So I reckon that undercut really worked in their favor.
yeah, and I do see that Van der Walt is slowly falling back from Barrington Smith. He's now almost 6.5 seconds behind, being only 5.5. So he's dropping it quite drastically to him. But they do have a 21-second gap over third place. But 21 seconds in 30 minutes, depending on what kind of lap times these boys are doing, that might come down quite quickly.
Yes. And Van Zyl is struggling. He's just going backwards and backwards the whole time, and I don't know what exactly is going on. Like Dupree and them are on a flyer at the present stage, and so is Callum Pace. He is moving. It's either Van Zyl is not very happy with the car he has gotten back, or it's tire pressures. Because again, if you get that wrong, it could hurt you so badly. You'll probably lose anything from about 1 second to 2 seconds if your tire PSIs are not on point, especially in these hot conditions.
Yeah, it's definitely that might be it. So yeah, the gap from Ruan down to Robin has dropped by over 1 second on that lap. So the fight for second might be coming to us.
Well, I'm going to go second, third, and fourth because again, it is a bit of a gap between Van der Walt in car 111 and then of course 86. But now Bullion is in close proximity to Van der Merwe. Caprisi, on the other hand, seems to have everything on point. He looks good. Again, he needs to keep focus, keep it in there. Because this is a good opportunity to get a W in it. That's for sure.
Yeah, to D is 2.1. I'm certain that was over 3 seconds. So that gap might be coming down as well. And then they've got Skutter for the umpteenth time. That BMW is slicing his path through the mid pack.
Yes. And from all angles, this car has had more passes than anyone else. Mayberg getting a drive-through penalty.
Mawa, Duplessis and Young, they were going 3 wide. That corner right there.
Really? I missed that.
That looked like they were going 3 wide through there. That was quite intense. But there are a whole little group here fighting, and the problem is it's 2 different groups fighting because you've got the AM boys and the Pro boys all mixed up here fighting with each other.
Yes, you do. So that's the C2P boys ahead. Then we've got Duplessis in the AM class. He's third in podium for himself, but he's got Dave Young who's trying to catch him. This is going to get very interesting for the final few 30 minutes.
Sale lurking in the background. Yeah, definitely. And then, I mean, that podium, the fight for the podium and Pro is also still on with Niall only half a second behind Van der Merwe. So, yeah, things are definitely hotting up. And Lee, the gap between Lee and Caprisi is sitting at about 2.5 seconds. So that gap seems to be stabilizing for now.
For now. I just want to see if I can catch a glimpse of this car. There we go. And this is just going to be my moment of... Oh, that's not what I wanted.
We need to tell Ike that that's not part of the track. That's not really...
That's what I wanted to listen. It's just this sound of this engine.
That V12 does sound honestly just sounds amazing.
It just does. So he was just there, lapped by, it looked like Bennington Smith, the leader,
Yeah.
yes.
I must say, they do have a very nice team name, Clueless Racers.
I didn't even pick up on that. Clueless Racer. Well, the one calls himself the Snail, and the other one, to my understanding, doesn't like ACC. So, yes, Clueless it is.
Yeah, that is a great fitting for those two. That is a very interesting combination between those two drivers.
So, Duplessis still trying to fend off Dave at the moment. He seems to be very, very dominantly and aggressive at this stage. Again, this is podium spot for the AM boys. Class position podium. Caprusi is the leader of the AM. He's being chased down by Lee Bullion.
Yeah, I see Skitter has gone past Lee. I almost thought Lee was only 1 second behind Caprice. I was going to go, oh boy, we've got a fight on our hands. But I see, no, it's Skitter that is 1 second ahead of me. Almost getting excited here for nothing.
Yeah, the RTA boys, Racing Team Astra boys, have had a very difficult race.
Yeah, I think they've had the most challenging race out of everyone so far. So
yes,
while we in the kind of I would say the half limbo situation of this race, we currently have an interesting prize that is up for grabs for the amateur drivers. So at the end of the season, I don't know, by committee, I would think we would need to decide who would be your most deserving amateur driver to get his free full-on track session with Mr. Gift to ACC Zaire Essa. Now, at this moment in time, who would you think would be a very good candidate for that prize?
oh,
Putting you on the spot there, am I?
you kind of are at the present moment, and you know what? I would sit with somewhere in between the Mouton, Bond, Ferrara, somewhere there. These boys that have constantly come in from the back end of the grid racing and continuously try to do their best on a week by week basis, and I think that's where it sits. I think they would. I would pick one of those three in those teams, and that's just me being, I don't know, probably as fair and partial as I can be.
Yeah, so I've had it penciled in myself. I've had it as Ferrara in my first line, and then second would be where is he now? It is it's Mouton. There we go. I almost lost him there. Number 3. I was going to say Jude's teammate, but Jude's not racing. His teammate's racing. So yes. On as my second choice, and then my third choice, I actually have Mr. Young, and I know it might be a bit of a controversial one because he's been quite quick, but it's from where I saw him at Spa to being like nowhere, and then basically at Laguna just nailing it to the ground and you know, I won't say carry his team, but really just outperform what was expected and doing something similar again today. But with the drive that Caprice is putting in today, after his struggles from last week, he might be a candidate to be thrown into the mix.
That is very true. I think it's a tough call. So again, trying to be as partial as I can. I'm a big fan of the Team LNR boys because it's LNR for life, LNR is blood, etc., etc. But I also know some of the LNR boys has gone down the path and benefited from the Zaire SR Special. So again, for anyone that wants to get into a session with some sim racing session coaching sessions, I would say Zaire SR is the man. Of course, there's also various other individuals that provide such a service. It just makes it hard for me to be a bit impartial at this moment, because I can see and I can experience what benefit he has brought to the Logistical Nightmare Racing team. So, what's his details?
Yeah, that's
How do we get hold of Zaire? Who can get hold of him? Where do they get hold of him?
basically, if you are within the LNR team, there is a link to join the as it's called Simracing Masterclass Discord, or you can just tag Mr. Gift to ACC within LNR and the PC chat and tell him, hello, Zaire, I'm slow, I want to go fast, make me go fast. And then Zaire will kindly pull you into his Discord and share some of his pricing and ways and means of how we can help. So yeah, it's, as we know, most of the LNR boys have had some form or the other of what we call the injection of speed juice. So therefore, that's why Straydom and the likes are always exceptionally quick. Although I have to admit that Straydom has only had like a half an injection, because if we have to give that man a full injection, we might be to buy ACC3 for him for us to catch up to.
Oh, yeah. No, that is true. So those are good information for anyone that wants to get some speed juice or speed injections, is what we call it. The AM class has got very hot at the moment. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4 battling it out. Kuprusi under severe pressure. He's being taken past by Duplessis there. Duplessis, the man on the move at the moment, taking the first place for the AM class. But we've got Lee Bullion there and Dave Young. 1, 2, 3, 4, battling it out for final victory. 20 minutes to go. Anything can happen here. This has just got so excited. How did we miss that?
So I'm looking and I'm like, what's happened?
Yes.
Because I'm like, this is crazy. Duplessis has basically caught them all and has passed them all.
Yes, Duplessis is phenomenally quick. Now, of course, Duplessis is the only man racing for his team, hence it's recorded that he hasn't done a pit stop, but he also served a 5-second penalty. He's done his 5 seconds, he came out of the pit box, and he is now leading the race. Kuprusi under severe pressure now, because he's got Lee Bullion behind him. Right behind him is Dave Young. Kuprusi has gone from first place in the AM class with his teammate, and he can possibly be kicked out of the whole podium session within 18 minutes of the race. This is very, very tight.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. This AM group decided, nah, we tired of having a boring race. Let's make it spectacular.
Well, you can't get anything more spectacular than this. And it's well split out this evening. So you got the top 6 pro boys still there in the mix. Unfortunately for Dupree and Van Zyl, who's had a bit of a struggle in the second half of the session. And then you got most of the AM boys fighting it out for, I'm going to go with second and third at the moment, because it's all about what Duplessis does.
Yeah, because Duplessis looks like he's just pulling away, and I think Davide is just putting up a nice little battle here to defend his P2 at the moment.
Yes, and he's managing to get away a bit there, so that's Scott on the angle there. Let's hope he stays away, but that's purely because Lee Bullion and Dave Young are battling it out for position. So I think if Dave can manage to capitalize here on the straight line or within this lap or the next, he's going to go and hunt down Caprice.
So in chat, Wilfred is saying that he's on silent mode because Andries de Prier is on his final track lap. So, drive through possibly imminent there for the boys, and I just friendly reminded Wilfred to inform Mr. Dupree that, remember, LNR has a standing policy with their drivers in their PC team that should you get a drive-through penalty, you will be drinking a tequila shot as punishment.
The tequila bottle comes. And there she sits. I feel like it's been a while since that bottle ventured out of the closet. It's been a while. I blame Speed Juice for that. That is Speed Juice's fault.
Oh, Capucci loses it. He lost it. He has given up P2 there. Unfortunately, quite easily with almost losing it, but saving it to an extent.
Yeah,
dropping P3. And now he has Dave all over him, and as we know, Dave is the silent assassin when it comes to bike.
Takes the inside line.
Takes the inside line and just bullies poor Davide right there and just takes that position and runs away.
Yeah, let's just see if we can see what the man did by accident. So again, double apex there. Looks good. Nothing wrong from that entry point of view. This, of course, is a tricky corner in itself. Gets through the curve, so it's all good there. This is a straight line. Now you just gotta find your brake marker. He hits it too late. Way too late.
He himself there and just goes sliding off the track.
Yeah, that is just an unfortunate one there. He outbraked himself.
Dave is driving around Lee.
Oh, I missed that.
Around Lee there in the straight. But Davide is right in it, and what are we going to do wide? Davide thinks better of that and backs out of that. Man.
That was so close. Boys deciding not to take that opportunity. Let's be smart about that. I think too wide through there is bad enough. 3 is very, very dangerous water. Oh, things have developed a lot though. Now Bullion has passed Robin van der Merwe.
Uh-oh. I think the boys got hit with load shedding. Because Juan van der Merwe, Van der Walt, has left the building.
I was just about to go, where is the Mercedes?
Yep, the Mercedes got whacked with the shedding.
Oh, that is utter disappointment. Mechanical failure, load shedding, internet dropout, I don't know what you call it. That is just an awful way to finish or not finish a race.
Yeah.
My thoughts goes to the DMR boys. They did a phenomenal first stint of the race. We did say at the beginning we were hoping that they will make it through the whole race. You said something about the final 10 minutes would be a tight call here and there, and they just did not manage to do that. So,
yep. Nino confirms on the stream, yep, load shedding has kicked in.
Unfortunate boys, my heart goes out to you. Like, in all fairness, it honestly does.
Now we have a fight for P2 and P3 on the cards, and Skitter is sitting pretty in P4.
They're doing great. Like, we've probably talked about these RTA boys most of the race. Bad luck at the beginning of the race, got a spun around, got a secondary spun around, then managed to get a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and then still worked their way back and managing to pull off a 4th place from, I would say, they would have probably taken the victory today based on the pace that they have shown today. It's a tough pill to swallow, but a phenomenal drive as a team.
Yeah, and Barrington Smith sitting in first, we haven't really shown much of him, but after the pit stop, he's done his work that was needed and just running his laps now. He's got a nice big gap over boys in 2nd and 3rd, so he just needs to continue and finish the race.
Yeah, that's 42 seconds of a gap that he has. I mean, that's like almost the length of the straight line in all fairness, as Caprucci seems to fall back further and further from where he started off with. And I think this is a confidence thing. he was looking so good, and then all of a sudden, he just doesn't seem to have his
Yeah, it looks
confidence
like
in
he's been rattled, and yeah, he just seems that he's a little bit out of sorts at the moment. And it's as if something similar to that effect happened at Laguna. He had one or two mistakes, and then he just loses confidence in the car. And it looks like the exact same thing has happened here to him.
I gotta admit, the Audi is a tough car to try and manage in ACC in general. It's not a car that loves the curbs. It is very twitchy. You gotta be on point with it every single time. It's probably just as hard to drive the Audi as what it is the Porsche. Porsche, in all fairness, is the hardest car to drive on ACC. And again, coming back, challenging there to Van Sale, recapitalizing on the position he lost. That Audi is quick. That is quick.
Yeah, that Audi has definitely got some exceptionally speed. Oh, so Capruzzi's teammate, Alex, is in chat, and he's saying Capruzzi might not make it. They might run out of fuel, so they've somehow misjudged the calculation of fuel usage. So he's trying to save some fuel to get it to the end. Oh boy.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you, teammate, for bringing it to us what is actually happening. Yeah, yes, me and you judging about his confidence and his skill set. Meanwhile, the man, they're trying to save fuel so that he at least can finish the race.
No, meantime he's got all the skills and confidence in saving the fuel to get to the end.
It shows you what we expect and what we believe happens. But it's because we're sim racers. That's the whole thing. You and I both know the minute you lose a bit of confidence on what you do lap by lap, you struggle to get that momentum back. And momentum is what you need. If you can't have that every single lap, you tend to lose focus, lose the ability to compete, and then you lose time.
Yep, no, that's 100% exactly that.
These
Is it
two
me
boys are fighting.
William swap positions.
They did. They have managed to swap positions. These Oaks are really giving each other stick as hard as they can, trying to get that second place. I mean, this is pride racing for pride. Who can finish it off and have bragging rights at the end of the day? Is it the steady state Uno boys, or is it the LNR team?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here between these two, because they've been at it the whole race.
They have. They certainly have.
72 minutes. We still at it, and yeah, these boys are probably going to go like this right to the end.
Well, going back to Capruzzi, my apologies, sir. You are certainly driving one hell of a race, considering that you are actually saving fuel as well. Battle here at the back though. Mayberg. Is that Mayberg fighting it out?
That is Mayberg and Bond.
Yes.
Yeah, Bond has gotten past Mayberg, so that's interesting. So Bond and his, I assume it's the two brothers, A Bond and W Bond. Also from console and moved over to PC. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Team Orion Racing does and how they get on a little bit further as they develop on the PC side. But yeah, past Mayberg, which is not an easy feat to do, as Mayberg is a very good racer.
But it could also be tiredness, because Mayberg hasn't had the luxury of having a teammate taken over from him this evening. So a bit hard. An hour and 20 minutes on for Ricard is a tough task to do in itself. I remember doing it, and around about the hour mark, your left hand shoulder feels like someone has taken a 10-pound hammer and kept on knocking it for hours.
Yeah, I see that Bullion is back to 0.1 behind Van der Merwe. So again, this is just not getting done. But yeah, Andries de Pree is making his way past some of the AM boys and moving up the grid nicely. hope he keeps it within the white lines to avoid getting that drive-through penalty, which will just kind of spoil the good race that they've had so far.
Bond and Mayberg fighting it out still. These boys are going to give it all until the final moments of the race. Let's see if I can... There we go. I'm going to take a moment here and just listen to the sound. I've been waiting for this. Oh,
Absolutely amazing.
makes my day. Just makes my day. You guys picked the right car. Beautiful, beautiful piece of machinery there. Okay, back to racing. This is Van der Merwe and Bullion. Top 3 boys fighting it out. Now, gotta stay here. I'd love to mix around everywhere else, but this is a tough one. Yo, that's close.
And they're coming up to a back marker, and that might just play into the hands of one of these two drivers. And they're coming up to Ike, so even better. Is it Ike? Does it know? Is that an LT BMW?
That's an LT BMW, so I guess that would be Ferrara?
Yeah.
No,
who would
sorry.
that be?
Mouton. My apologies.
Okay.
Again, this battle will still continue as it is. Still on Mayberg fighting it out. Where are we? 5 minutes of racing left. We're practically at the last legs. Question on the table: does Caprusi have enough fuel? That is 1. 2. Does Mr. Bullion have enough speed to try and take on Van der Merwe, the fan of the other Van der Merwe? No, Van Vieren. Hansen Van Vieren.
Yes.
These boys in the center. Van der Merwe and Van Vieren.
The robin and the sheep. So it is called the sheep and his herder. That's how it works. Because the herder forgot to tell the sheep to put his lights on in Spa.
Oh, jeez. Is that what went wrong at that point? Again, laughing at these boys again. I'm fairly sure Gerard van Vieren is going to give me sticks and go like, stop laughing at me.
Well, if we don't give them grief, who will? You know, who will?
It's part of the family. They're like the small brothers you just want to continuously annoy as much as you can. Can. They give us the firepower to do so. We might as well use it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this has definitely been an entertaining battle between Van der Merwe and Bullion, and before it was Vermeulen and Van Vieren. So the between the four drivers, they've most certainly given us some great entertaining. But it does seem that now possibly made a slight error somewhere, because he's dropped down to about a second behind Van der Merwe, and I reckon he probably only has another 2 laps to go to be able to get this done.
Yeah, he has. He's either decided that that is it, all fair and love and war, and takes the 3rd place position, so settle in for that. Where is Beddington Smith? He is certainly going to do another lap though, so that's 2 laps for sure.
Alex comes on stream and says, well, he'll keep it a secret whether they have enough fuel to get to the end.
Don't worry, we'll be watching. We will be watching. You do know Bond is not far from you. His man and the one they call Mayberg or TTHR is hunting down Caprusi. So not just fuel, it's whether he can do it. Well, he's looking good on pace, to be fair. I mean, lap times at the moment that this man is doing, probably not ideal fast. He is doing the 2-minute benchmark, so yes, fuel saving is certainly there. That's a 2:01 at the present state, so that is 5 seconds slower than the boys behind him. That's going to bring it very, very close if they continue to do so. So
But I think, is Barrington Smith not behind? I'm sure he's just behind Davide.
let's just look at the map itself. So that's car 374. Yeah, he's through. Again, Perez is going to lap him for sure.
Actually clever. He would back this up and allow Barrington Smith to pass him because he would then having to do another lap.
Again, look at us. We don't just commentate. We give you tactics too. That would be the ideal thing. Finish behind Barrington Smith, slow down, calm it, and do it that way instead of wondering whether you can still make another lap. Again, not far off that as Mayberg, but I think if he plans it well, he should be able to at least maintain and hold that position.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Barrington Smith, I think, is probably on his final lap. I cannot see him doing another lap.
He is most certainly on his final lap. I heard the track stewarding indicate leader on the final lap. So this is his final couple of corners. I think that's what Krapussi needs to do. Stand back, hold down, and finish behind the race leader. But it doesn't look like he wants to do that.
Now I see his teammate is saying he's on it and speaking to his teammate now to get that done.
That would be ideal. Again, the final quarters for Barrington Smith. He is certainly going to take the W there. As you see, the Audi pulls aside to let him go.
Well done, Barrington Smith, for taking the win, even though I don't think he expected he was going to take that win today.
No, it was a very, very tough race for those boys. Again, coming in second, who is being hunted down by Nel Bullion. There's of course Robin van der Merwe. If he can get that off, these boys are still fighting it out. So a couple of corners left for Robin van der Merwe and Nel Bullion. The two LNR teams, one steady state, one LNR. Steady state, we know. As my alarm goes off. Sorry about that. That's it. That's second place for these boys. Well done. Great drive though. Don't think they would have been there with the exception of the DMR boys that really drove well. Again, unfortunate for them. This is Skitter from RTA in fourth. I'm gonna call it, even with all their bad luck, they were the team this evening. No choice about it. Hands down.
Yeah, no, they definitely were the team to beat, and unfortunately, they got beat.
Yes, Caleb Mawa in fifth. This is Duplessis final corners. W for them in the AM class. Mighty Smiters taking it to the finishing line, as well as Dave Young coming back very strong with the LNR Steady State DOS team. Dupree not far off him in the pro class, Van Sale, and of course Lee Bullion, the final podium sitter for the AM class. I reckon that was a fantastic race, in all fairness.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. That was a great race. Okay, let's just get the save our reap, and then we've got Ike that will probably jump into the stream, as he said he wants to chat to us after the race, and then next week we should maybe pull in the podium guys to chat to us.
We definitely got to do that for sure. Get back some of the good things as we see. The man currently states that he's in 9th place, but he takes the victory purely because of our default problematic systems we have. Where do we go? Are we gonna talk? Have a chat? Who's on there? Let's just see if I can do that. Ike.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
How are we? That was a fun race.
Certainly was a fun race. Holy crap. Loved the sound of the Aston Martin.
Yeah, in hindsight, maybe I should have actually done a bit of homework on how much speed it actually had in the track. But I've got to be honest, I thought we weren't keeping the points that Gary had already accrued. So, as far as I was concerned, there was no real championship or anything. Just to be able to keep with the pack and have the V12 circulating was worth taking, if that makes sense.
Of course, 100%. But it just sounds absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, there's nothing better than running down the Mistral straight in a V12, topping out 280 kilometers per hour is just incredible to have. And I must be honest, in the practice sessions I did on a couple of occasions while I was driving down there, just go to the external shots just to hear it coming past. Oh, it's great. So we may be beckoning you to change for a more competitive car. Gary's obviously had load shedding take him out of the possibility of talking, but yeah, for sure, it was great to be able to represent the Aston Martin and to actually take part in TV's team. I've watched quite a few of these and I loved the format and everything, and like I said last time, the amount of intrigue that it brings into it. It's just incredible to watch. Again, unfortunate that we can't really compete in the car that we've got, but we'll see what we can do about that.
Certainly.
Listen, Matt.
No, go. Ooh, I'm breaking all kinds of things around my desk at the moment. No, but it was vastly different this evening as what it was last week. We had a different front running challenge, both in pro and am classes. We've had individuals that saved fuel, and then of course the boys that were leading the race at the beginning from all the way through. We lost them just before it all ended. So again, very unfortunate, but let's hope we get a bit of that action back again next week.
Well, funnily enough, the second place car actually spun off in front of me. Just let them past on the Mistral, and they got off the curves on the exit of Sigma, and just couldn't get the car straight. But then we took, in testing, I took as much aero as I dare take off the car, and it was just as quick down the straight. But when you got to Sigma corner, every single time you just didn't have the confidence in the car. So I have a feeling that a couple of the AMG guys may have taken off a little bit more wing than they were comfortable with, just to be able to keep up with the speed of the Audis and BMWs down the straight.
Yeah, very true. I'm gonna just play a bit of the highlights at the background while we sit and talk about how it all went and how it developed. Again, fantastic to see how it was. And every week I look at the grid and I go like, there's only like, it looks like only 17 drivers, but then in general, it is literally 34 boys on track, communicating, talking, figuring out strategies, defining when to put, how not to put. I'm still curious to figure out how the BMW managed to jump and loop the Mercedes, even with a 5-second penalty. There's so many questions. So next week we're gonna start asking questions to the boys that actually win the races and get them to speak to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I did say that I'd be kind to you boys, but how was it commentating the race tonight? It was fun from the driver's seat. It was fun being able to just idly jump around all the cars where everything was happening. But from the com box, how did it look?
No, it was absolutely fantastic, entertaining. I don't think there was really any moments where there was dull moments in this race.
No,
Hold on, let's give you more entertainment.
yeah, nail biting through and through. And like I said at the final of the commentating when we finished the race, RTA boys, which we currently see on the stream, they've had the worst luck throughout the whole race. And in all fairness to them, I think they were very dominating, and probably the lines they took to make passing maneuvers, the amount of people they passed on track was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. We had them I mean, they'd gone past 5 cars before they even got to turn 1. The quality of Wessel's driving tonight was absolutely top notch. Being able to sit in the cockpit with him for once, and being able to really appreciate the inputs and how smooth he is.
Mm.
Yeah, no, he earned every position that he got tonight, even if he was lent a couple perhaps by the AM drivers that might not have made it as hard as it had to be. Like, he still had to make the positions, he still had to make the pace. One of the AM
Yes.
drivers that he needed to pass, I think twice in fact, was Mr. Alex Moore.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's no slouch at all. So even
He was
for an
also in the
AM
box
car.
with us.
Wait, I was overtaken? Did that have what? I'm confused.
Yeah, Wessels, on his way to the front. You let him pass.
I don't really fight the pro drivers that much.
No,
But
no.
yeah, he was really fast.
It does go to show that those BMWs just are still hilariously broken. They've keep on trimming the back, but they've just. What I mean to say is, BMW have made such a quality product, and ACC has reproduced it so faithfully that this is what you get when you send a multinational automobile company, GT3 Racing, and say, look, you're going to be trimmed back however fast you are, just make the best you can.
Yes, that is very true. But again, I'm still waiting to see how and when we will get new GT3 cars up and coming. Because again, most of the ones on the track at this moment are all of the aged factor, the 2019, 2020, 2021. The BMW is the latest and greatest out of all of them. So when we hopefully get better GT cars, more updated GT cars, vastly amount of tracks within the GT racing sim side of it, not just sim but actual. Yeah, things might change up. Like literally, it can only get better from here on.
I don't know how much you've been keeping across the news, but keep your ears to the ground for 2024. That's all I'll say.
See, mic drop moment.
Yes.
Exactly
The
that.
IMSA aren't the only only series who are going to have a GTP series in 2024.
See, keep your eyes
Bossman,
on that.
I need to jump out. So
Yeah.
Yep.
thank you for the stream. Thank you to everyone racing. It was fantastic, awesome. And I will see you all next week, same place, same time, at a different track. I don't even know where we're racing next week. Where are we racing next week?
Watkins.
It's America. I think it's Watkins Glen.
Oh, yes, we are going to the Glen.
We are going to the Glen.
The City of the Bell.
Yet
That'll-
another course where I think we will have to keep.
Guy's dead.
Yeah.
That was a wire. Yet another course where I think we're going to have to keep hold of the V12 because I think it's just going to sound too good.
Yeah.
How can that
Well,
V12 not sound too good?
I know.
Enjoy.
I'm trying to. Yes. Go on, Paul. Have a lovely evening. Yeah. No, I can't put into words just how good it feels to be driving that car. Yes, it's not competitive, but in every other way, it's just such a gorgeous car.
I've honestly never driven it on ACC though. I don't know why. I've just never touched it. Although there's quite a few of them I haven't touched in ACC. Merc is one of them. Audi I
Merc
refuse
is-
to touch.
Really?
Yeah, I can't. There's something about the Audi that I really struggle with. McLaren I am too slow. Merc I am 10 times slower. So there's a few.
Ah. I have a bit of inside information for you. So the fixed rates on the diffs create very different driving dynamics. The Audi has a looser power diff than it does coast, which means that when you are braking, when you're off power, the rear end is a lot more stable. Whereas when you're on the throttle, it twists a lot more. You get more oversteer if you're not clever with it, basically. Whereas the 720S and the V12 Aston Martin have a more locked diff when on power than on coast, meaning that you get a lot more instability under braking, but if you get into any kind of slide or anything, you just apply throttle and it goes away.
Yeah.
There are a few times tonight where I was braking and the back was coming round on me, so you just blip the throttle and it fixes itself.
That is true, and that's probably why I just haven't got into grips with the Audi, because I don't think I can. I'm not a big fan of the oversteer aspect of it.
No, I'm with you on that as well. You can overcome it by just turning the preload up. We actually the race that we ran last weekend, which was another LNR race, we ran the Audis, and I had my preload set to 250 Newton meters, which I can hear Alex scoffing in the background. But yeah, it quelled all of the oversteer problems that I was having and made the car a lot more drivable.
Well,
Oversteer is your friend.
Oversteer is your friend, but power on oversteer when you're trying to save the tyres is not.
I have a confession to make.
What's your confession?
I didn't give Davide enough fuel.
Oh no!
so it was you.
It was you.
So, in the setup, I set up for the pit stop at the start of the race, and I put in how much fuel I think we're going to need, and then when the pit stop comes, I look at what my actual fuel usage is and I adjust it. I just forgot to do the adjusting bit.
And you had the Mistral straight to do it on.
And I only realised with like 20 minutes left that we were 5 litres short.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot for this long straight. It's a lot.
It's about like a lap and a half.
Yeah. Well, we were in the V12. We were using 2.9 liters per lap. I'm actually shocked at how little fuel we were actually using.
I was using like 3.1. Davide was using like 3.2-ish.
That's a lot of fuel.
Well, it was certainly an action-packed evening tonight. Next week, North America track. I think it's going to be quite epic. And then we're going to go and do interviews next week. So that is certainly on the cards.
Yes. So I tell you what, if you're watching this back on YouTube, and you are competing, I'm going to say what I say at the end of every stream that I broadcast to you guys. You never know. You might end up on the voice comms with Buck and Paul Venter here in the comm box. It won't be me next week because I guarantee that I won't be up the head of the field. But Gary did put in YouTube chat, we need to see more of the V12 next week or we're going to sue.
Okay. I'll try and make a point of it because I literally just went across it every time to see if I can capture it down that long straight, just listening to it, but then also realizing that I need to commentate and watch everything else.
Yep. I tell you what, so I'll make a livery in the next week, and I'll send it over to you so you've got another excuse to go and look at it.
Perfect. That's a fair statement. For everyone else that's still watching and so forth, Mr. Alex Moore, all I can say to you is next time check your fuel. Mr. Ike, thank you for popping in and saying hi. For everyone on the stream, next week, same time, same place, still gonna be epic fun. Do not miss out. See you all next time. Have a good one. Good night. God bless. Adios.